हेलो फ्रेंड्स। ये फंडामेंटल राइट्स की सेकंड वीडियो है क्योंकि फर्स्ट वीडियो जो है बहुत लंबी हो रही थी, इसलिए फिर मैंने इसको दो पार्ट्स में किया है। लेट्स स्टार्ट। Which article under fundamental rights is directly related to exploitation of children? Option D, Article 24. Which one of the following articles of the Constitution deals with the fundamental rights related to the exploitation of children? Option C, Article 24. Child rights are protected in Article 24 of ICCPR. Article 24 of International Convention on Civil and Political Rights protects child rights. It is worth a mention that Article 24 of Indian Constitution also protects child rights. Which article of the Constitution provides protection to the accused regarding conviction from double war and self-incrimination? Article 20, option D. Article 20, subclause 2 says that no person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than once, while Article 20, subclause 3 describes that no person accused of any offense should be compelled to be a witness against himself. An accused of any offense cannot be compelled to be a witness against himself. Which article of Indian Constitution provides for this? Option A, Article 20, subpart 3. Article 20 has provided a safeguard to the person accused of crimes. Article 20, subclause 3 of the Constitution says that no person accused of any offense shall be compelled to give a witness against himself or self incrimination. This is based on legal presumption that the accused is innocent till his guilty is proved. It is a duty of the prosecutor to establish his guilt. No person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than once, under which article the above preservation of conviction for crime is given. Option B, Article 20. Article 20, subclause 2 of the Constitution of India says that no person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than once. This is called the doctrine of double jeopardy. The objective of this article is to avoid harassment, which may be caused by successive criminal proceedings where the person has committed one crime. There is law maxim related to this, nemo david bis vexere. This means that no man shall be put twice in peril for the same offense. Which article gives safeguard to the fundamental rights of arrested person? Article 22, option D. Article 22 of the Constitution mentions that no arrested person shall be detained in custody without being informed as soon as may be of the grounds for such arrest, nor shall be denied the right to consult and to be defended by a legal practitioner of his choice. Which of the following is not correctly matched? Article 22.1, right to be defended by a legal practitioner of her or his choice. Article 22.4, no law providing for preventive detention shall authorize the detention for a period longer than 3 months. Article 22.2, Parliament may by law prescribe the circumstances under which a person may be detained for a longer period than 3 months. And Article 22.1, no person who is arrested shall be in custody without being informed as soon as may be of the ground for such arrest. Option C is incorrect. As per Article 22, subclause 2, every person who is arrested and detained in custody shall be produced before the nearest magistrate within a period of 24 hours of such arrest, excluding the time necessary for the journey from the place of arrest to the court of magistrate. Under the Preventive Detention Act, a person can be arrested without trial for 3 months. Option B. Article 22, subclause 4 of the Constitution of India says that no law providing for preventive detention shall authorize the detention of a person for a longer period than 3 months. Under preventive detention, a person can be detained without trial for 3 months. According to Article 22, subclause 4 of the Indian Constitution, A person can be detained without trial for a maximum period of 3 months under preventive detention. Consider the following statement. According to the Constitution of India, the central government has a duty to protect states from internal disturbance. The Constitution of India exempts the states from providing legal counsel to a person being held for preventive detention. According to Prevention of Terrorism Act 2002, confession of the accused before the police cannot be used as evidence. Option A, only one is correct. Article 355 of Indian Constitution provides that it shall be the duty of the Union to protect every state against external aggression and internal disturbance, and to ensure that government of every state is carried on in accordance with the provisions of this Constitution. Hence, statement 1 is correct. Article 22 of the Constitution provides protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. Clause 5 of this article says that when any person is detained in pursuance of an order made under any law providing for preventive detention, the authority making the order shall, as soon as may be possible, communicate to such person the grounds on which the order has been made and shall afford him the earliest opportunity of making a representation against the order. Thus, Article 22, Subclause 5 provides a legal opportunity to the detainee. Hence, statement 2 is incorrect. As per Prevention of Terrorism Act 2002, a confession made by a person before a police officer and recorded by that police officer either in writing or on any mechanical or electronic device shall be admissible in the court trial of such person for an offense under this act. So option 3 is also incorrect. With reference to India, consider the following statements. When a prisoner makes out a sufficient case, parole cannot be denied to such prisoner because it becomes a matter of his her right. State governments have their own prisoner release on parole rules. Option 2 is correct. Parole is the release of a prisoner either temporarily for a special purpose or completely before the expiry of a sentence. On the promise of good behavior, such a promise is known as a word of honor provided in the parole order. Parole is not recognized as a right in India, despite the fact that it has administrative importance. A prisoner's claim to parole is not absolute, and prison authorities have considerable discretion in granting parole to that prisoner. However, parole is considered a right for prisoner by a number of international accords and organizations. The grant of parole is governed by rules made under the Prison Act 1894 and Prison Act 1900. Many state governments have also formulated guidelines to bring out objectivity and facilitate decision making to determine whether parole needs to be granted in a particular case or not. Such decisions are taken in accordance with guidelines framed from time to time. The prison's Bombay Furlough and Parole Rules 1959 have been enacted by exercising rule making power under Section 59, Subclause 5 of the Prison Act 1984. The provision of right to freedom of religion includes freedom of propagation of religion, right to wear and carry kripans by six, states' right to make laws for social reforms, right to conversion of religion of people by religious bodies. So option 1, 2, 3 are correct. Article 25 of Constitution provides freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion, and also the right of the state to make any law for social reforms. Carrying and wearing of kripans by Sikh is deemed as the right to freedom of religion by virtue of explanation 1 of Article 25. The right to conversion of a religion by religious bodies or institutes is not provided under this article. Under which article of Indian Constitution wearing of kripans by Sikh is deemed as a right to freedom of religion? Article 25, option B. Article 25 of Indian Constitution refers to freedom of religion, option C. The word Hindu in Article 25 of the Constitution India does not include Parsis. According to Article 25, Hindus shall be construed as including persons professing the Sikh, Jain, or Buddhist religion, but they do not include Parsis. According to Article 25 of Constitution, right to freedom of religion is not subjected to humanism. According to Article 25 of Indian Constitution, all persons are equally entitled to freedom of conscience and the right to freely profess, practice, and propagate religion. But these rights have certain limitations imposed on the grounds of public order, morality, and health. Humanism is not a limitation imposed under Article 25. What are the restrictions in the freedom to manage religious affairs in the Article 26 of the Constitution? So, public order, health, and morality. Option D is correct. Article 26. Every religious denomination or any of its sections shall have the right to establish and maintain an institution for religious and charitable purposes, manage its own affairs in matters of religion, own and acquire movable and immovable property, administer such property in accordance with the law. The rights under Article 26 are also subject to public order, morality, and health, but not subject to other restrictions related to the fundamental rights. Which one of the following is not correctly matched? Article 23, prohibition of traffic in human and forced labor, correct. Article 24, prohibition of employment of children in factories, correct. Article 26, freedom to manage religious affairs, correct. Article 29 is incorrect because freedom of establishment and administration of educational institutions by minorities is given under Article 30 of the Constitution, while Article 29 is related to the protection of interest of minorities. Which one of the following pairs is not correctly matched? Prohibition of traffic in human beings and forced labor, Article 23. Protection of interest of minorities, Article 29. Right to constitutional remedies, Article 32. Right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions comes under Article 30 of the Constitution, while Article 31 was for compulsory acquisition of property, which has been repealed by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978. And now the right to property is a legal right under Article 300A in Part 12 of Constitution. Which article of the Constitution protects the right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice? Article 30. Article 19, right to freedom. Article 26, freedom to manage religious affairs. Article 29, protection of interest of minority community. Article 30, right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions. Under which of the following articles of Indian Constitution it has been provided that all minorities shall have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice? Article 30, option C. Given below are two statements, one is labeled as assertion and other is reason. Article 30 of the Constitution of India does not define the term minorities, right? The Constitution recognizes only linguistic and religious minorities. Both statements are true, but second statement does not explain statement 1. So option B is correct. Article 30 of Indian Constitution provides for right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions. All minorities, whether based on religion or language, shall have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. Article 30 subclause 1. According to Article 30 subclause 2, the state shall not, in granting aid to educational institutions, discriminate against any educational institution on the grounds that it is under the management of a minority community, whether based on religion or language. So it is clear that minority is not defined in this article. The Constitution of India recognizes religious and linguistic minorities only. The Constitution of India recognizes both religious and linguistic minorities. According to Article 29, citizens residing in the territory of India having a distinct language, script, or culture of its own shall have the right to conserve the same. Article 30 provides minorities the right to establish and administer educational institutions, whether based on religion or language. Which of the following is given the power to enforce the fundamental rights by the Constitution? Option D, the Supreme Court and High Courts. Article 13 of the Constitution grants the power of judicial review to the Supreme Court and High Courts in the case of a violation of fundamental rights. The Supreme Court, Article 32, and High Court, Article 226, in exercising their power, may declare any law or enactment passed by the legislature void or unconstitutional on the ground of contravention of the fundamental rights. The guardian of fundamental rights is judiciary. Option A. The Constitution of India has assigned a judiciary, there is Supreme Court of India and the High Courts, the responsibility of protecting of fundamental rights. The most significant of fundamental rights is the exclusive right to the constitutional remedies under Article 32. High Court's jurisdiction under Article 226 of the Constitution of India. Thus, the guardian of fundamental rights is the judiciary. Under the Indian Constitution, who is the guardian of the fundamental rights? Option C, Supreme Court. Under the Indian Constitution, who amongst the following is considered to be the guardian of fundamental rights? Judiciary. Which one of the following is regarded as a protector of fundamental rights of citizens and guardian of Constitution of India? Supreme Court. Option C. The Supreme Court of India is the protector of the fundamental rights of citizens and the guardian of the Constitution of India because through the right to constitutional remedies, it protects the fundamental rights of citizens. Besides, it interprets as well as enforces the provisions of the Constitution. Which one of the following statements is not correct? K.M. Munshi was one of the members of the drafting committee of the Constitution, right? Constitution of India was adopted by Constituent Assembly, right? Panchayati Raj was recommended by Palwant Rai Mehta Committee Report 1957, right? The President of India is the guardian of fundamental rights under Constitution. It is incorrect because the judiciary or the Supreme Court is the guardian of fundamental rights. Which of the following rights can be enforced under Article 32 of the Indian Constitution? Option B, fundamental rights. Article 32 of the Constitution provides constitutional remedies against the violation or transgression of fundamental rights conferred by Part 3. The Supreme Court shall have the power to discuss directions or orders or writs, including writs like habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto, and certiorari, whichever may be appropriate for the enforcement of any of the rights conferred by Part 3. That is why the Supreme Court has been called the guardian of the fundamental rights. Which of the following article is called the heart and soul of the Indian Constitution? Option A, Article 32. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar described Article 32 of Indian Constitution as its heart and soul because it safeguards fundamental rights and ensures justice for all citizens. This article empowers individuals to directly approach the Supreme Court if their fundamental rights are violated, ensures that government respects individual freedoms and establishes the protection of fundamental rights as a fundamental right itself. Which one of the following rights was described by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar as the heart and soul of the Constitution? Right to constitutional remedies. Option D. Dr. Bhim Rao Ramji Ambedkar described Article 32 as the heart and soul of Indian Constitution. In his words, if I were asked to name any particular article in this constitution as the most important, an article without which the constitution would be a nullity, I could not refer to any other article except this one, Article 32. It is the very soul of the constitution and heart of it. It is also notable that on various occasions the preamble to the constitution is also recognized as the soul of the Constitution. But according to B.R. Ambedkar, Article 32 is the heart and soul of the Constitution. Consider the following statements. Dr. Ambedkar had described Article 32 of the Constitution as the very soul of it. Article 32 provides an effective remedy against the violation of fundamental rights. Option A is correct. Ambedkar had described Article 32 as the very soul and heart of the Constitution, as Article 32 provides an effective remedy against the violation of fundamental rights enshrined in the Indian Constitution. The Supreme Court has the power to issue directions, orders, or writs for the enforcement of any fundamental rights. Consider the following statements concerning the powers of Supreme Court to issue certain writs to stop violation of fundamental rights. The Supreme Court has power to issue writs like habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto, and certiorari, which is appropriate for the enforcement of fundamental rights. Parliament may by law empower any other court to exercise within its jurisdiction the powers given to Supreme Court. So both statements are correct. Article 32 subclause 2 of the Constitution gives an extensive original jurisdiction to the Supreme Court in regard to the enforcement of fundamental rights. It is empowered to issue directions, orders, or writs, including writs in the nature of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto, and certiorari to enforce them as per Article 32, subclause 3, without prejudice to the powers conferred on the Supreme Court by clause 2. Parliament may by law empower any other court to exercise within the local limits of its jurisdiction all or any of the powers exercisable by Supreme Court under clause 2. Hence both statements are correct. Under which article of the Constitution of India the Supreme Court is empowered to issue different writs for the enforcement of fundamental rights of citizens? Option A, Article 32. Article 32 of Constitution of India empowered the Supreme Court to issue different writs for the enforcement of fundamental rights of citizens. These writs are habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto. Article 226 empowers a High Court to issue these five writs for the enforcement of fundamental rights and for any other purpose. Which one of the following writs is regarded as the greatest safeguard for the liberty of a person? Option B, habeas corpus. The writ of habeas corpus is regarded as the greatest safeguard to the of the liberty of a person. It calls upon a person who has detained another to produce a letter before the court, to let the court know on what grounds he has been confined, and to set him free if there is no legal justification for the imprisonment. Which one of the following writs can be issued by a high court to secure the liberty of the individual? Option C, habeas corpus. Article 226 of Indian Constitution provides for the power of high courts to issue certain writs. To secure the personal liberty of the individual, the person can issue a writ of habeas corpus. The writ is issued by the court whose object is to secure the release of a person found to be detained illegally and secure the liberty of the individual. The Supreme Court also has the power to issue writs under Article 32 of Indian Constitution for the enforcement of rights enumerated in Part 3 of the Constitution, that is, fundamental rights, whereas the High Court can also issue writs related to legal rights. The writ which may be filed for protection of right to personal freedom is habeas corpus. The word habeas corpus literally means to have the body of. By this writ, court secures the body of a person who has been imprisoned or detained to be brought before the court to obtain knowledge of the reason or grounds for such detention and to do justice. The writ secures the right of personal liberty. Habeas corpus, let us have the body. 4. Mandamus, we command. Prohibition, co-warranto by which authority? Certiorari, to subordinate. Prohibition, be more fully aware. Option C, certiorari, be fully informed, and prohibition writ to subordinate courts. Which of the following is not correctly matched? Habeas corpus to have the body of correct, mandamus we command correct, prohibition to be certified. To be certified is certiorari. Quo warranto by which authority? Option C. To be certified is related to certiorari writ, not the prohibition. This writ is issued by a court higher in authority to a lower court of tribunal, ordering them either to transfer a case pending with them or to establish or quash their order in a case. Which one of the following constitutional remedies is also known as post mortem? Option C. Certiorari. In certiorari writ, the Supreme Court and the High Court re-examine the decision given by subordinate courts. Through the quo warranto writ, the court inquires into the legality of a claim of a person to a public office. This writ prevents the illegal assumption of public office by an individual. Therefore, both the writs have a sense of post mortem. Thus, the appropriate answer for this question should be E, while BPSC mentioned option C. In which petition judiciary orders executives to perform their duty? Option B, mandamus. A writ of mandamus, which means we command in Latin or sometimes mandate, is the name of one of prerogative writs in the common law. It is issued by a superior court to compel a lower court or a government officer to perform mandatory or purely ministerial duties correctly. When the Supreme Court issues a writ to a person or to an institution to perform its duty, it is called mandamus. Which of the following pairs is not correctly matched? Right to freedom, Article 19 to 22, right to freedom of religion, Article 23 to 24. It is incorrect because Articles 23 to 24 are right against exploitation, and right to freedom of religion comes under Articles 25 to 28. Cultural and educational rights 29 to 30, correct. Right to equality 14 to 18, correct. Cultural and educational rights 4. Constitutional remedies 32. Against exploitation, option 2. Right to equality 1. So option D is correct. Match list with list 2. Articles of the Constitution 16 subclause 2 D1. Okay. It's Article 16 subclause 2. No person can be discriminated against in a matter of public appointment on the grounds of race, religion, or caste. Article 29 subclause 2. No person shall be denied admission into any educational institutions maintained by the state or receiving state aid on the grounds of religion, race, caste, language, or any of them. Article 30, subclause 1. All minorities, whether based on religion or language, shall have the right to establish and administer educational institutions of their choice. Article 31, subclause 1. No person shall be deprived of his property save by authority of law. Which of the following is not correctly matched? Abolition of untouchability, correct. Article 17. Protection against arrest and detention, it is under Article 22. Freedom of religion 25. Protection of minorities of interest, Article 29. Match list 1 with list 2. Abolition of titles, Article 18. Option 3. Freedom to manage religious affairs, Article 29. 1. Protection of language of minorities. Okay. Freedom to manage of religious affairs, Article 26. Language of minorities, Article 29. Right to education, Article 21. D4. Option D is correct. Match list 1 with list 2. Okay. Fundamental duties, 42nd Amendment of Constitution. Parliament can amend fundamental rights. Keshavanand Bharati case. The doctrine of basic structure, Minerva Mills case. Prohibition of trafficking in human being, Article 23 of the Constitution. Which of the following statements are incorrect? Part 3 of the Constitution of Fundamental Rights of the Constitution is based upon Bill of Rights of USA. Right to die is a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution. Indian Constitution is a complete federal constitution. Fundamental rights can be removed under the Indian Constitution. So option 1 is correct. B, C, D are incorrect. Option A. In philosophical and conceptual sense, the fundamental rights of the Indian Constitution are similar to the Bill of Rights of USA. Significantly, right to die is not a fundamental right under Article 25 of the Constitution. Notably, the Indian Constitution is not a complete federal constitution but a quasi federal one. According to the law established by the Apex Court of India, fundamental rights can be amended but not removed because it comes under the basic structure of Indian Constitution. In which of the following cases did the Supreme Court of India declare the prevalence of fundamental rights over DPSP in case of conflict between the two? Option B, the state of Madras versus Champakam Durai Rajan 1951. In the state of Madras versus Champakam Durai Rajan case, the Supreme Court of India held that in the case of conflict between these two, the fundamental rights shall prevail over DPSP. It is notable that the state of Madras issued orders for community based reservation for medical college seats in the furtherance of Article 46 of DPSP. The said order was challenged on the grounds of violation of fundamental rights under Article 15.1 and Article 29.2. The Supreme Court, in its decision, hailed the superiority of the fundamental rights over the directive principles and challenged and cancelled the Madras government's order of community based reservation. To remove the effect of this decision, the first Constitutional Amendment Act 1951 added Clause 4 to the Article 15 under Fundamental Rights. This Clause 4 of Article 15 established that nothing in the Article 15 or Clause 2 of Article 29 shall prevent the state from making any provision for the advancement of any socially and educationally backward classes of citizens or for the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. By which of the following cases Parliament got the right to amend fundamental rights? Keshwanand Bharti case. Option 1. The first time Supreme Court held that fundamental rights are amendable was in the case of Shankari Prasad versus Union of India 1951 and Sajjan Singh versus Rajasthan case 1965. In the Golaknath case 1967, the prior decision was reversed and it was held that amendment in the fundamental rights is not possible. Again, in the Keshwanand Bharti case 1973, the Supreme Court held that the amendment power of the Parliament is wide enough but not unlimited. It may amend the fundamental rights but not in such a way as to destroy the basic structure of the Constitution. This case outlined the power of Parliament to amend the fundamental rights without destroying the basic structure of the Constitution. Identify the correct chronological sequence of the following: Shankari Prasad, Sajjan Singh, Golaknath, Keshwanand 1973. So option C, 1, 2, 3 is correct. The Supreme Court, firstly in the year 1951, in the case of Shankari Prasad versus Union of India, and after that in year 1965, in the case of Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan, held that Parliament can amend fundamental rights given under Constitution. Later in year 1967, in the case of Golaknath versus State of Punjab, the Supreme Court held that the opposite to its verdict in the Shankari Prasad and Sajjan Singh cases and established that the Parliament cannot amend the fundamental rights. In Keshwanand Bharti versus State of Kerala case 1973, the Supreme Court held that the Parliament has an extensive power of amendment in the Constitution, but the power is not unlimited, and it can amend the fundamental rights, but it cannot change or amend the basic structure of the Constitution. The Supreme Court of India has propounded the doctrine of basic structure of the Constitution in which of the following? Option C, Keshwanand Bharti versus Kerala State. The doctrine of basic structure of the Constitution owes its evolution to the majority judgment of Supreme Court in landmark case Keshwanand Bharti versus State of Kerala 1973, which was approved in Minerva Mills versus Union of India 1980 case. Which one of the following cases outlined the basic structure doctrine of Indian Constitution? Option C. Keshwanand Bharti versus Kerala State. Select the correct chronological order of the following judgments dealing with fundamental rights. Option C. A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras, 1950. Golaknath versus State of Punjab, 1967. Keshwanand Bharti versus State of Kerala, 1973. Minerva Mills versus Union of India, 1980. What is the position of right to property in India? It is a legal right available to any person. Option B. As the constitution was originally drafted, the right to property was enshrined as a fundamental right. However, by the 44th Amendment Act 1978 of the Constitution, the right to property was removed as a fundamental right and a new provision was added to the Constitution. Article 300A. Now it is a legal right. Right to property belongs to which category amongst the following legal right? Option A. Right to property is a legal right and statutory right. Option C and D is correct. Read the following statements and choose the correct option. Right to property was deleted from the list of fundamental rights by the 44th Amendment Act of 1978. Right to property was made a legal right under Article 308, Part 12 of the Constitution. Option C. Both statements are correct. At present, right to property under the Constitution of India is a legal right. Option B. Consider the following statements. Article 301 is related to right to property. Wrong. Right to property is a legal right but not a fundamental right. Right. Correct. Article 300A was inserted in Indian Constitution by 44th Amendment during the period of Congress government. Incorrect. Option A is correct. Article 301 is related to freedom of trade, commerce and intercourse and not to the right of property. The right to property was fundamental right under Article 19(1)(f) by the 44th Amendment Act 1978. This clause 19(1)(f) has been omitted and Article 300A has been inserted, which provides that no person shall be deprived of his property save by authority of law. This amendment was done at the time of Janata Party government. After that amendment, the right to property became a legal right and ceased to be a fundamental right. In present times, the right to property has been accepted in the Indian Constitution in which of the following forms? Legal right. Option D. By which of the following right to property has been omitted? 44th Amendment Act. Option C. When was the fundamental right to property abolished? In 1978 by 44th Amendment Constitutional Amendment. Option A. Which of the following Amendment Act of the Constitution deleted the right to property from the list of fundamental rights? Option C. 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978. By which amendment the right to property was abolished? Option B. 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. The right to property has been abolished by 44th Constitutional Amendment. Now it is a legal right. The 44th Amendment to the Constitution of India removed the following right from the category of fundamental rights. Property. Option C. The right to property was deleted from the list of fundamental rights guaranteed to citizens of India by 44th Amendment. Option C. Which one of the following is not a fundamental right? Option C. Right to property. Which one of the following is not a fundamental right? Option B. Right to property is not a fundamental right, but it is a legal right under Article 300A. Which one of the following is not amongst the six fundamental rights provided by the Constitution of India? Right to protest. Option B. The right to protest is not amongst the six fundamental rights provided by the Constitution of India. Indian Constitution does not grant which of the following rights? Right to equal shelter. It is not provided by Indian Constitution. The Indian Constitution gives right to equality, Article 14 to 18, right to freedom of religion, Article 25 to 28, and right to liberty or freedom, Article 19 to 22, but does not provide right to equal shelter. Which of the following is not a fundamental right granted by Indian Constitution to the citizens? Right to information is not a fundamental right, but it is a statutory right. According to the decision of Supreme Court, the right to information lies in the right to freedom of speech and expression under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution of India, although it is not mentioned in the Constitution of India. Consider the following statement. No one can be compelled to sing the national anthem since it will be a violation of the right to freedom of speech and expression. It will be violation of right to freedom of conscience and practice and propagation of religion. There is no legal provision obliging anyone to sing the national anthem. Option C. All statements are correct. The Supreme Court overruled the decision of High Court pronounced in the case of Bijo Emmanuel versus State of Kerala. The court held that expelling the children based on their conscientiality held religious with violated the Constitution of India as enshrined in Article 19(1)(a) and 25(1). The court said that no provision of law obliges anyone to sing the national anthem, choose the fundamental rights available to Indian citizens but not to alien. Right to freedom of speech and expression? Yes. Equality before the law? No. Right of minorities? Yes. Protection of life? Option 1 and 3 is correct. The right to freedom of speech and expression under Article 19 and the cultural and educational rights of minorities under Article 29 are available to Indian citizens only. They are not available to alien and foreigners. Fundamental rights provided by which of the following groups of articles are granted only to citizens of India? Article 15, 16, 19, 29, and 30. These five articles that are provided only to citizens of India. Option D. The Part 3 of Indian Constitution contains articles 12 to 35 and provides for fundamental rights. Certain fundamental rights under Part 3 are exclusively available to the citizens. They are provided under Article 15, 16, 19, 29, and 30. Which of the following fundamental rights is not available to foreign citizens? Right to freedom of expression under Article 19. Under the Constitution, there are various fundamental rights that have been given to both citizens and non citizens equally. These rights are equality before law, Article 14, protection in respect of conviction of offense, Article 20, protection of life and liberty, 21, right to education, 21A, right against exploitation, Article 23 and 24, right to freedom of religion, 25, 26, 27, and 28, where the provisions related to Article 19(1)(a), freedom of speech and expression, is available only to citizen of India. Which one of the following rights is available only to persons under the Indian Constitution? Right to equal protection of laws. Option A. Equality before the law or equal protection of laws is granted by the Article 14, which is given to all persons under the Indian Constitution, but the right against discrimination, Article 15 and 16, right to freedom of speech and expression, Article 19(1)(a), and cultural and educational rights, Article 29(30), are available only to citizens of India. Which of the following rights are not available to all persons in India? Article. Right against discrimination, right to move freely throughout the territory, right to contest election 2, 3, 4. Option D. The right to equality before the law, Article 14, is available to every person in India. But the right against discrimination, 15, 16, 17 articles, in right to move freely throughout the territory of India, Article 19(1)(d), and right to contest elections are available only to citizens of India. Which of the following rights conferred by the Constitution of India is also available to non-citizens? Option A, right to constitutional remedies. Right to constitutional remedies is available to both citizens of India and non-citizens, but right to freedom of speech, to freely travel throughout the country, and to acquire property is only given to citizen of India. A British citizen staying in India cannot claim right to freedom of trade and profession. Article 15, Article 14, other articles are available to him. A British citizen staying in India cannot claim right to freedom of trade and profession because the right which has been provided under Article 19(1)(g) is available only to the citizens of India, but the other three rights given in the options are available to every person. Which of the following rights is not enjoyed by a British citizen residing in India? Option A. Freedom of trade and profession. The Indian Constitution under Part 3 provides fundamental rights. Certain fundamental rights are exclusively available to the citizens. They are rights under Article 15, 16, 19, 29, and 30. Rest of the fundamental rights available to citizens and non-citizens both. The freedom to practice any profession or to carry on any occupation, trade, or business is a fundamental right under Article 19(1)(g) and available only to citizens. The equality before law under Article 14, the freedom of life and personal liberty under Article 21, and freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion under Article 25 are the rights available to all persons, whether citizens or non-citizens. A British citizen staying in India cannot claim right to freedom of trade and profession. That is Article 19. In India, certain fundamental rights are exclusively available to citizens, while other extend to all individuals, including foreign nationals. A citizen, a British citizen residing in India cannot claim the right to freedom of trade and profession as enshrined in Article 19(1)(g) of the Indian Constitution, which is reserved solely for Indian citizens. In India, if a religious sect or community is given the status of national minority, what special advantages is it entitled to? It can establish and administer exclusive educational institution. The President of India automatically nominates a representative of the community to the Lok Sabha. It is wrong. It can derive benefits from Prime Minister's 15-point program. So option 1 and C is correct. No special representation for minorities is given under the Constitution. Bonded labor was abolished in India by an Act of Parliament enacted in the year 1976. Article 23(1) of Constitution prohibits the traffic in human beings and forced labor. Any contravention of this provision shall be an offence punishable in accordance with law. The Bonded Labor System Abolition Ordinance 1975 was promulgated by the Resident on 25 October 1975. To replace the said ordinance, the Bonded Labor System Abolition Bill 1976 was introduced in the Parliament. The Bonded Labor System Abolition Bill 1976 was passed by the both houses of Parliament and it becomes an act. The child labor was prohibited in hazardous employment by Indian Constitution under Article 23, 24. The judgment of Supreme Court on December 10, 1996, United Nations Charter, all of the above. Option D. Indian Constitution under Article 24 says that no child under the age of 14 years shall be employed to work in any factory or mine or engaged in any other hazardous employment. United Nations Charter has proclaimed that childhood is entitled to special assistance for the full and harmonious development of a child and his or her personality should grow up in a healthy environment. On December 10, 1996, in the case of MC Mehta versus State of Tamil Nadu, the Supreme Court held that employment of children below the age of 14 years into hazardous child labor is unconstitutional and hence prohibited it. Option B. Rights without duties are like men without shadows. Sir Ernest Baker has said that rights without duties are like men without shadow. In the context of India, which one of the following is correct relationship between rights and duties? Rights are correlative with duties. Option A. In the context of India, rights and duties are correlative. According to Holland, every right implies the active or passive forbearance by others of the wishes of the party having the right. The forbearance of the part of others is called a duty. Rights and duties are two faces of the same thing. The Supreme Court has observed that there may be a rule which imposes an obligation on an individual or authority, and yet it may not be enforceable in a court of law and therefore not give rise to the forbearance on the part of others is called a duty. Rights and duties are two faces of the same thing. The Supreme Court has observed that there may be a rule which imposes an obligation on an individual or authority, and yet it may not be enforceable in a court of law, and therefore not give rise to a corresponding enforceable right to another person. but it would still be a legal rule because it prescribes a norm of conduct to be followed by such an individual or authority. Thus, rights and duties are correlative and they give effect to each other. Which one of the following statements is correct? Rights are claims of the citizens against the state. Option C. Rights are essential for the complete development of human beings. The importance of rights has expanded immensely and has given birth to the concepts of fundamental rights, human rights, etc. Rights impose restrictions on powers of the state. These are guarantee against state action. Thus, rights are claims of the citizens against the state. Arrange the following states chronologically with respect to the enactment of the Right to Service Act. Option A. With respect to enactment of Right to Service Act, the chronological order of the states is Punjab, Assam, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. This sequence is based on the official Gazette publication dates of this act in the representative states. The concept of right to service originated in Great Britain. Option C. The concept of right to service originated in Great Britain. Right to service refers to laws that guarantee time bound delivery of services for various public services rendered by the government to citizens. The right of citizens for time bound delivery of goods and services and redressal of their grievances, Bill 2011, was an attempt to start such a law in India. However, it could not be passed. Notably, MP is the first state in the country to implement the Right to Services Act on 25 September 2010. Bihar is second state to implement such a law on 15 August 2011. The aim of Citizens Charter is not to create effective hearing system of public demands, but the aim of Citizens Charter is quality and time frame service delivery, citizen friendly governance, accountable government. The basic objective of the Citizens Charter is to empower the citizens in relation to public service delivery areas like improvement of quality and provision of standard services with the taxpayers' money. The charter is a document that outlines the commitments of a government or public service organization towards providing efficient, transparent, and accountable services of the citizens. Therefore, a quality and time frame service delivery, citizen friendly governance, and accountable government, but creating an effective hearing system of public demands is the aim of Citizen Charter. Thank you, guys. We have completed fundamental rights. See you in next video. Bye.